posting some videos from Lowell Taylor. He's got a fascinating presentation that he's given to me on the last days, basically coming from the book of Daniel. But I'm going to take a different perspective today. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about this book by Hugh Nibley, Approaching Zion. Go over some things that are in the first chapter here. Fascinating book, and let me tell you why this book is so important to me. It was about 6 years ago, about that time, when David Doan was kind enough to invite me over at his house, and had a beautiful visit. And he actually invited me to come over 1 week later, and I did, and it was another wonderful visit. I was doing some training at the time in Utah, and was able to visit him. And at the time he was married to Jacqueline. She's passed on since then. Jacqueline sent me a text like a couple days later, which surprised me. I'm like, oh, I'm getting text from David's wife. Well, this is awkward, maybe. I'm not sure. So I'm looking at the text, and she's telling me that she had a dream. And in her dream, she said that she was directed to tell me to read Hugh Nibley's book, Approaching Zion, and that would answer all of my questions. And now I don't remember what all of my questions were, but I do remember we talked a lot about the New Jerusalem and about money in the New Jerusalem, and economic systems and that kind of stuff. But anyways, I didn't know about this book, had never heard of it. It's 580 pages, and I basically spent the next 3 weeks, while every time I was not working, getting my scripture study done, I'd pull open Approaching Zion and just read it, and absolutely loved it. Now, when he starts the first chapter, I'm talking about Hugh Nibley, he talks about the 10th article of faith. In fact, he kind of starts out by saying if he were to give a lecture on his last lecture of his life, it would be on the 10th article of faith, and the lecture would take about 10 hours, and that still wouldn't even cover it. That would still only cover a portion of it. But that's what he would do, is if his last lecture would be on the 10th article of faith. Why the 10th article of faith? Now I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Now, I've got this plaque that was given to me when I was young. Well, I don't know if it was even given to me. It was in our bedroom, and my presumption is my mom made it as a Relief Society project. I'm not even sure if that's correct, though. I need to ask her, though, because I've had this plaque my whole life. And the 10th article of faith has been slightly changed since this plaque was made. I'm going to read it the old way. We believe in the literal gathering of Israel and in the restoration of the 10 tribes. That Zion will be built upon this, the American continent. That Christ will reign personally upon the earth. And that the earth will be renewed and receive its paradisical glory. Now, Hugh Nibley likes to point out that this is in order. The order is laid out here in the 10th article of faith. And from all of my reading of the scriptures, I agree with him. It's laid out. I mean, a lot of times the events of the last days, you might be able to mix and match and switch them around, but this order is going to happen. I mean, currently we are doing the literal gathering of Israel and the restoration of the 10 tribes. We're doing that through our missionary work. And people get their patriarchal blessings, and they're told what tribe they belong to. If they don't belong to a tribe because they are purely of Gentile origin with no blood of Israel in them, then they are adopted into a tribe, and they are spread throughout the earth. And so we are performing this first task at this present time. Then he says, Joseph Smith, that is, in the 10th article of faith, that Zion will be built upon this, the American continent. Now, we know from church history that it will probably start in the New Jerusalem will start in Independence, Missouri. But eventually it's going to have to spread out. You know, it's not just going to be in Independence where Zion is built. It will be centered in Independence, but it's going to spread out through the entire continent. So I'm sitting here in Tucson on a hot summer day, and it's going to be here too, but we're going to have to build it first. That Christ will reign personally upon the earth. So we have to build Zion first, and then Christ will reign personally upon the earth. And then the final part, the earth will be renewed and receive its paradisical glory. And a lot of times I ask the question, is Christ going to snap his fingers and the earth is going to be renewed, or are we going to have to renew the earth? Or if not we, then our descendants, are they going to have to renew the earth after our generations have destroyed it? So to me it's a serious question. But let's get to what we see in approaching Zion. And I'm just gonna give some quotes. In fact, I think I'm gonna get rid of this cover here, make it easier to read. So I'm just gonna take some quotes out of here. Bear with me. It will be a little bit of reading, but I'll try to keep it interesting. And I've highlighted the things that I think are the most important from just the first chapter. And I like it. I hope you do too. The Latter-day Saints have often become confused about the game plan of unfolding processes in these latter days by giving undue priority to one event over another, or by arbitrarily shifting the order of events to suit some preconceived plans of their own. But one thing is clear: the Lord has given us here an outline of the whole plan as far as it concerns us. Next point he makes, and Zion cannot be built up unless it is by the principles of the law of the celestial kingdom. Otherwise I cannot receive her unto myself. So when we're building Zion, it must be done on the principles of the celestial kingdom. Now he's going to switch to the story of the Garden of Eden. And you need to understand, or as I read it, I hope that you understand the significance of what he's saying, because when he's talking about the Garden of Eden, he's referring to us here as part of the Zion building process. The story of the Garden of Eden teaches us that environment is important. It was not a matter of indifference to Adam whether he was inside the garden or outside, whether he was living in a world most glorious and beautiful or in a dark and dreary world. And our 10th article assures us that God intends that the paradisical conditions of Eden shall be restored again to this earth. And again we repeat, the earth will be renewed and receive its paradisical glory. Okay. Are we going to do that? Or is God going to snap his fingers and it's going to be made whole? I think we're going to have to do it. That's my thinking. Zion is any community in which the celestial order prevails. Zion is the pure in heart. Well, now that's an interesting definition. We don't have to wait for the New Jerusalem to be built, because we can have it today as long as we are pure in heart. Okay, now he's going to quote from Psalms, and he gives this statement: when the Lord shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. What is this ideal Zion like? In the last days we are told it will be a place of refuge in a doomed world. It shall be called the New Jerusalem, a land of peace, a city of refuge, a place of safety for the saints of the Most High God. And the terror of the Lord shall also be there, and it shall be called Zion. At that time every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. And the wicked shall say that Zion is terrible, terrible because it is indestructible. Her invulnerability makes her an object of awe and terror. As Enoch said, surely Zion shall dwell in safety forever. But the Lord said unto Enoch, Zion have I blessed, but the residue of the people have I cursed. So Zion was taken away and the rest destroyed. Zion itself is never in danger. On the contrary, it alone offers safety to the world, that the gathering together upon the land of Zion and upon her stakes may be for a defense, and for a refuge from the storm, and from wrath when it shall be poured out without mixture upon the whole earth. Gosh, I'm starting to see wrath being poured out on the earth, or I'm expecting it to happen very soon. I don't think we've gotten very far on building Zion. I think we got a long ways to go, and I think we got our work cut out to do. Zion cannot be built up unless it is by the principles of the law of the celestial kingdom. I've said that before already. It must be at all times Be holy enough to receive the Lord himself in person. And blessed are they who shall seek. This is important. And blessed are they who shall seek to bring Zion. And blessed are they who shall seek to bring forth my Zion at that day. And whoso shall publish peace, how beautiful upon the mountains shall they be. Gosh, I only know of one person right now that's seeking to build up Zion. Well, there's probably others. As President Joseph F. Smith put it, things upon the earth, as far as they have not been perverted by wickedness, are typical of things in heaven. Heaven was the prototype of this beautiful creation. When it came from the hand of the Creator, it was pronounced good. There you have the environment of Zion, and a foretaste of it. All we have to do is go to the canyons and look around us. For the earth comes from the hand of the Creator, most glorious and beautiful, with great rivers, small streams, and mountains and hills to give variety and beauty to the scene, designed by God as a place of beauty and delight. That is the way we must keep it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that condition, because there's actually a lot that's been said by Brigham Young on that topic. And let's go ahead and go straight to it. Can we preach to the world by practice? Asked Brigham Young. Yes, we are preaching to them by setting out these shade trees. When they come here from the north and the south, east, or west, and they say, your city is a perfect paradise with its streams of water and beautiful shade trees down every street. The idea, according to Brigham Young, is to beautify the face of the earth until it becomes like the Garden of Eden. And again, Brigham says the city looks beautiful. The appearance of a huge flower garden, the shade trees, fountains of water, crystal streams, and every tree, shrub, and flower that will flourish in this climate to make our mountain home a paradise, and our hearts wells of gratitude to the God of Joseph. Brigham Young knew, however, that a feeling for beauty was the surest guardian of survival. He said, you watch your own feelings when you hear delightful sounds, for instance, and when you see anything beautiful. Are those feelings productive or misery? No, they produce happiness, peace, and joy. These feelings, according to Brigham, can be trusted, and without them, we would soon destroy ourselves. Man's machinery makes things alike. God's machinery gives to things which appear alike a pleasing difference. Now let us prove to the heavens that our minds are set on beauty and true excellence, so that we become worthy to enjoy the society of angels. I think it's fascinating that Brigham Young puts such an emphasis on making your land a Garden of Eden. I mean, when I think about that, I think, well, what can I do to my home to turn my home into a paradise of flowers and plants and food and the beauties that would have existed in the Garden of Eden? I mean, can't we take the time to try to turn our own home into the Garden of Eden? And if we could take the time to turn our own home into a Garden of Eden, how about helping our neighbors to also turn their homes into Gardens of Eden, and the community to follow after that? If we want to build Zion, one place we can start, aside from being pure in heart, is to beautify our land, to beautify our homes, and turn them into the Garden of Eden. Okay, now let's skip to Babylon, because Hugh Nibley spends a significant portion of this chapter on Babylon. The burden of Babylon, howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Babylon is not to be converted, she is to be destroyed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Today's world is the substance of an idol which waxeth old, and shall perish in Babylon, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. For after today cometh the burning, and I will not spare any that remain in Babylon. I could quote 100 scriptures to show that Babylon is nothing but the inverse image of Zion. Babylon is described fully in Revelation 18. She is rich, luxurious, immoral, and full of fornications, merchants, riches, delicacies, sins, merchandise, gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linens, purple, silk, scarlets, tyne, wood, and all manner of vessels, ivory, precious wood, brass, iron, marble, and so on. She is a giant delicatessen full of wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, a perfume counter with cinnamon odors, ointments and frankincense, a market with beasts and sheep, and it's all for sale. That is what Babylon is. That is the opposite of what we need to seek, to find and build as we seek to build Zion. Babylon, then, like Zion, is a type. If Zion is wherever the celestial order prevails, Babylon is the culmination of the worldly power wherever it happens. Joseph Smith stood up on the framework of the new school building that was being erected in far west Missouri and told the brethren, "Brethren, we are gathering to this beautiful land to build up Zion." But instead, he says, "I see signs put out, beer signs. Speculative schemes are being introduced. This is the ways of the world. Babylon indeed, and I tell you in the name of God of Israel, if there is no repentance and a turning from such ungodliness, covetousness, and self-will, you will be broken up and scattered from this choice land to the four winds of heaven." Brigham Young said exactly the same thing in language just as strong when the saints got to the valley. Have we not brought Babylon with us? Are we not promoting Babylon here in our midst? Are we not fostering the spirit of Babylon that is now abroad in the face of the whole earth? I ask myself this question and I answer yes, yes. We have too much of Babylon in our midst. The world today is about as different from Zion as any world possibly can be. In fact, it has reached the point the Lord has told us in emphatic terms where he is about to remove the whole thing. Sweep the slate clean, that Zion may be established. Just as the order of Zion began with Adam in the garden, the rival system is just as old. It too was proposed to Adam, and he rejected it, while his son Cain accepted it. The plan Satan proposed to Adam was to put everything in this glorious and beautiful world up for sale. You can have anything in this world for money, but you had to have money. Money. Money, money, money. Every time money becomes the primary driver of things, wickedness ensues. I've seen it lots of times. When we try to mix Zion and Babylon, Babylon has already won the game. The 10th article of faith contains our future, our glory, or our condemnation. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it invokes some thoughts into your mind. Are you okay living in Babylon? And what can you do to come out of Babylon? Live the principles of the celestial kingdom. Be pure in heart and turn your own home abode into the Garden of Eden and cause that to expand to others. We live in a world full of contention. I see troubled days ahead of us. That shouldn't stop you as an individual from doing your part to build Zion in your own home and in your own community. Have a great day. Bye-bye.